fittingly creepy looking morning to be heading out to a horror con. Definitely a little bit of Silent Hill vibes going on here. How's it going, everybody? This is a convention report for Spooky Empire Holiday Pop-Up held at the Wyndham Orlando on December 10th and 11th. I went down there on Saturday. I actually did go ahead and get myself a 2-day pass to the con, but I only ended up going on Saturday. I didn't plan to stay down there. But the whole idea with the pop-up is that it is kind of like an old school convention. So prices on a lot of stuff is pretty low. It's a little more simplistic. They did one last year actually, so I have a video kind of a similar event if you want more of an idea there. But kind of more laid back version of a convention than what Spooky Empire normally puts on, especially compared to the October show, which is crazy every year. Good crazy, but crazy. So yeah, it was like $15 or $20 for a day, and then $5 more for the second day. So I just figured, $5, I'll take the risk, and if I want to go back a second day, I can go back a second day. So for this con, I took my Silent Night 2012, which is the Silent Night Deadly Night remake, Santa costume I've been working on for a little while. Unfortunately, up here in Jacksonville, it had gotten a little bit cooler, especially towards the beginning of the month, and then as the month has been going on, it's just been getting warmer and warmer again, and then Orlando is usually a little bit hotter still. So I think it was around 85 or maybe higher down there that day. So I thought would be a nice winter costume. It wouldn't be too terrible to wear. Ended up being me melting inside of a Santa suit, basically. But I did end up wearing that around for the beginning of the day, and it was a lot of fun. I took some pictures of people, and actually we stopped at one point and talked to Petey, and he took a photo of me and threw it up on their Facebook as part of one of their, the doors are open announcements. So that was actually really cool. So basically, kind of went around the con for about an hour and a half in that costume. My friend was kind of looking at stuff. I was looking at some other items. The kind of nice part was that part of the costume was a bag that I was throwing various weapons and things in. So I'd kind of change out my weapon throughout the day, just pull a new one out of the bag or whatever. Anything I bought while I was still in costume, I actually had a place to just throw it in the bag, and it was just still part of the costume. So I ended up picking up a few things while still cosplaying, which is not something I'm usually able to do. And then after a while, it was kind of too much. Ended up going back to the truck, dropping off some stuff, and taking the costume off. All right, so made it an hour and a half in this costume. It's way too fucking hot for Santa suit in Orlando when it's 85 degrees. So give it up on this, but I just wanted to actually document proof. The costume exists. Get the bag full of weapons. Well, that's embarrassing. Just trust me, there's a bag full of weapons. The only downside is that I had done black makeup around my eyes to make them blend in. The mask has black, it's a translucent mask, and it has black around the eyes, but the eyes aren't, super tight to my own. So it looked better to have my own eyes black behind it, just to kind of add to that dark, evil stare idea. But the makeup I have for that is very cheap, and it kind of cost me because as it started, heating up and running, some of it ended up getting behind my contact in my right eye, and after a while we went to lunch, and I'm just sitting there eating, not in pain, but just in a lot of discomfort because my eye just would not stop watering. And yeah, lesson learned. I think it's time to invest in some decent makeup if I'm going to be putting it on my eyes. A lot of the stuff I'll use, with Hobo Myers, I'll put it on my hands to dirty my hands up. No big deal there, but I think, having it around my eyes, that's definitely not something I want to risk damaging in the future, so I need to do a little better there, I think. So that was the big cosplay lesson learned from this go-around. That, and check the temperature before you go down to Orlando in that costume. Granted, no other costume I own would have been any cooler. So, somehow Hobo Myers ends up being the coolest costume I have, just because part of the face is exposed. So I guess I'll go through the autographs I got. None of this is going to be in order. They had, I believe, 6 different guests there, which was really cool. Last year, I think they only had 2 or 3. Granted, last year was kind of still coming out of the worst of COVID and stuff. This was more of a normal year for Spooky. We got actually 3 cons. We got an extra con this year, which is phenomenal, not complaining at all. So the first autograph that I got was from Scott MacDonald from Jack Frost. Not a convention guest I was ever expecting to be able to meet, but very excited to do that. That's one of my favorite bad, stupid Christmas movies that I try to watch every year. Actually, if you go way back on this channel, I had I forget, it was 12 horror movies of Christmas. It was some, best horror Christmas movies that I did like years and years and years ago, and that was on the list. Yeah, he signed it at the bottom. He has, Phil, I'm Jack Frost with a signature, and up at the top it says, well, it ain't fucking Frosty. So that was pretty cool. And he was great. Like, he took a lot of time talking to... Like, my friend got 2 autographs from one in a book and then one on... He was selling snow globes with the Jack Frost character inside the snow globe. I guess his wife made for him to sell. I guess his wife doesn't like the movie, but made him Christmas things to sell at the con. So that was kind of funny. So yeah, like, my friend got to talk to him twice. I got to talk to him for a little bit. It was really cool. Second for me was William Ragsdale from Fright Night. So very cool, Brewster, to get that. So cool. Not very cool. Whatever. Quote, movie. Yeah. Not even really a quote. So his just basically says, beware, his name, and then it has Charlie underneath it. Simple, but cool. And, I mean, obviously, no way Peter Vincent's dead, so I wanted to get, an 8x10 that had a bit of him on there. Just no other way it's really going to enter the collection. So it made sense to me. And then the last one I got was Rob Mello, who plays the killer in Happy Death Day. I know people call him Babyface. I cannot call this Babyface. To me, Hills Run Red is Babyface, but I've cosplayed both of them. So that was pretty cool. Has How Will You Die Today, John Toombs, and his signature. His also was the only one of the 3 autographs that I got that just the selfie was included in the price of the autograph. I almost skipped it because I had the still like the raccoon eyes going on from the costume, and I just kind of felt like I looked like a mess, but I took the photo anyway. What the hell? So the other 3 guests they had, I basically got half of them. Alex Vincent was there, as he always is. I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's cool that he's there all the time. Though, last 2 Spooky Empires, this one and the one previous, like, I keep having moments where I almost accidentally run into him, like, coming around a corner or something. Like, yeah, I don't know. Eventually, one of these cons, I'm going to accidentally just, like, run headfirst into him. Don't want to do that, but I feel like it's building up to that inevitably happening. And then Fedore Steer was there. I'm not super familiar with him. I think he was in American Horror Story and a lot more other like TV things. Well, it seemed like a lot of people were very excited to meet him. And then Danielle Harris, and I will get to Danielle Harris a little later on in this video. So vendor room finds was kind of a weird con for me because I feel like a lot of the last few cons that I've bought stuff at, I have been gravitating more towards like props and masks and things like that. Not this time. I bought 2 masks. One wasn't for me, and then one was one I already own, which is the Danielle Harris clown mask from Halloween 4. So my plan with this is to add it to my Vincent drug display so I could keep this one up here on the shelf, and I'm going to leave this in the package, and I'm going to make myself a different header card that looks like a Vincent Drug header card, or maybe a more generic header card, whatever. But something that would fit into the universe of Halloween 4, and then put that on the shelf like it was a massive purchase. I know in the movie it was with the costume, but I'm not going as far as to add like a costume rack into this. So I thought it would be kind of a nice nod to have Jamie's clown mask on the display. And then everything else I got was movies. So I got 2 DVDs, a Blu-ray, and a bunch of VHS. After Spooky last time, when we had the VHS player on the Stabbing Cabin Studios table, I mean, I know people have been getting back into like retro VHS stuff. I know it's become a bigger and bigger thing lately. But just watching like Halloween and Evil Dead on that TV, and like there was something about it that just was like, oh, I finally get why people want to do this now. Like, honestly, that was because people wanted really cheap movies and, even cheaper than cheap DVDs, they get VHS or something. But I kind of realized there is something a little nostalgic and a little magical about the whole VHS and how grainy and dark and cool it is. So yeah, I'm going down that rabbit hole now a little bit. Not super far, I don't think, but I mean, you'll see what I bought today. Maybe I'm already going down too far. But the first 2 DVDs were from Papa Ray's Movie Crypt. He sells occasionally, at least, at stuff up here in Jacksonville. So I went down to Orlando and bought stuff from a guy from Jacksonville, and I probably could have just stayed home, but he doesn't bring the good stuff to the flea market because there's not a lot of people that buy the good stuff at a flea market. So I got a double feature of Tombs of the Blind Dead and Return of the Blind Dead. I saw a statue, actually the ones that Trick or Treat Studios did, and I'm blanking on the actual artist's name, but the wave that he did on his own when I first saw those statues, There was a Tombs of the Blind Dead zombie in there, or character, whatever it is. And then Trick or Treat Studios, when they released the series, they kind of replaced that one with Zombie Holocaust. So I was wanting to see what this was. Wanted to see a little more. It was dirt cheap. And then he doesn't usually have bootlegs, but he did have the complete Are You Afraid of the Dark series. I've been meaning to pick this up, and he had it cheap, so why not? I believe Vinegar Syndrome was there. I think there was actually a Vinegar Syndrome table, and I picked up the WNUF Halloween special. Ironically enough, well, on 2 counts, it looks like a VHS in the packaging. It even has like the side logo and has a VHS tag on the back. Granted, the disc itself doesn't have, it just looks like a normal Blu-ray, but very cool slipcase. And also, I had watched this on Shudder at the last Spooky Empire one of those nights while I was working on the Phantasm Sentinel. So, yeah, it felt appropriate to go ahead and grab this from Spooky Empire. The first 3 VHS I grabbed were also from Ray. He had a collection of Hammer movies. So I have The Devil Rides Out, Rasputin the Mad Monk, and Reptile. And these are all Anchor Bay releases in these kind of nice chunky cases. I thought they looked really cool. Like, even if, I don't watch them all that often, they make a great little display. And then another seller had some kaiju movies. So, and some sci-fi stuff. So I guess the one that isn't kaiju was Creature from the Black Lagoon. I had to get this one. Love Gilman. Then Rodan. This was like when I was looking at getting VHS tapes. This is like one of those ones that's on my short list of ones to pick up. And then Gorgo, the British kaiju. It's one I have like fond memories of watching as a kid, so definitely wanted to grab that one too and almost drop it on my floor. So beyond that, like I said, it was kind of a more laid back con, but there were a lot of people considering. I mean, honestly, there were points where it was in the Wyndham where they had their spring one, but it felt a little crowded in some places, and you get in the vendor room and it's a little more spread out. So, it wasn't like it was bursting at the seams, but it had a nice steady attendance, I think. I guess that's a good way to describe it. Really good amount of vendors, 2 different vendor rooms, which is great. There were a lot of cosplayers there. I was far from the only person wearing a Santa hat or a Santa suit. A lot of people doing, Santa takes on famous killers. I saw Michael Myers from Halloween Kills with a burnt up Santa hat on his head. Saw some Jason Santa costumes. I saw the entire Icons cast from Halloween Horror Nights in Christmas attire. It's interesting. I didn't catch it at first because I saw, one of them, and I'm like, I couldn't tell what it was. And you can't know every character you're going to see at a con, right? You can't recognize everything. And some people do original characters, so it makes it even harder. And then I finally saw, somebody walk next to them with the caretaker's, scissor things, or whatever those are. And I was like, oh, it is an entire group of the icons. I think they had every last one of them. Jack, Eddie, Lady Luck, Chance. Now I'm just trying to remember all the icons. They were all there. I swear, I'm pretty sure they were all there. There were, I think, a couple different Krampuses. There was one that was definitely the movie Krampus. There were a few, different takes on Krampus. There were some other things that I think were Krampus-y, but maybe not exactly Krampus. Just, Christmas monsters. I don't know. They looked really cool, though. There was a lot of great costumes. For a small event, I don't think this one had any, unless I completely missed it, I don't think this one has a costume contest or any of that stuff they normally do. So, nobody's there to win an award, win prize money, whatever. They're there just because they want to cosplay and have fun and show off their work, and they definitely had some impressive stuff. Though, despite all the cool ones, I still think my favorite, maybe I shouldn't play favorites with this, but there was a dude who was at the October event, and he was at this one too, with a basket case cosplay. So, the dude actually looks like the guy in the movie. They carry around the big wicker basket with a life-size Belial inside. And this time he put, Christmas lights and garland and stuff on it. Just a really cool costume. I don't know, there were some that maybe were, more ambitious or proficient or whatever, but, something about that costume I just really dig, and it was cool to see it again in person. And then another thing they did, because they didn't have, panels and things like that, they introduced a lot of photo ops, both with the guests. I saw Rob Mello did one in costume. Danielle Harris on Saturday alone had 3 different photo ops, 2 in sexy Santa costumes, I think, and then 1 in her iconic clown costume. On Sunday, I believe they had a Krampus photo op with an originally designed Krampus. On Saturday, I could have sat and watched this dude all day. They had a Pimp Grinch, I think was what they were calling him. Really great makeup. Honestly, looking at it, I was like, is this the dude that they have at Universal Studios? I know Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, they have somebody dressed up as the Grinch, basically talking shit to people who come up for photos with him. And, really convincing makeup and all that stuff. This looked pretty close. The design was different, I think, than that one, if I remember right, but it was a really good looking costume. The guy was super in character with it. The photo op room was kind of like in a hallway, basically, like off to the side of a hallway, where it usually is, I think. And then he would go in, like take some pictures, he'd like come out the door and just sit there and look at the crowd around him and just start talking shit. Like there was somebody in like a kind of a furry-esque, it was like a horse with a Santa suit on. I'm not entirely sure what that costume was, but you know, he looks at the guy, he's like so tempted to like jump on his back and yell hi-ho silver, and the guy just kind of looked at him like get the hell away from me. There was another moment where there was like some guy talking to him and the guy said fuck, and like I didn't even hear the guy say it, but then the Grinch is just like, you can't say fuck, there's kids here, they hear you say fuck, they're gonna go home and say fuck, and then this lady's gonna be mad at me. I don't know who they got to play the Grinch for this, and I'm not really a fan of, you know, the Grinch. Even the Jim Carrey one, I kind of just don't like that, but this guy was hilarious. It was great. And I think especially because I can relate it back to what they have at the theme parks, but then he's at a horror con, so he can just say whatever the fuck he wants, probably within reason. But I mentioned the Danielle Harris thing. So my friend Colin, and I don't care if he wants me to, I'll ask him if he wants me to post a photo. He posted it on Instagram, so it's out there anyway. But I made the mask, so I'm going to talk about it, whether he wants me to or not. If you've followed my con journey, you know that Holliston is a show that I really enjoy. Everybody I've introduced it to who are horror fans and metal fans, they seem to enjoy it as well. It's on Shudder now, so it's easier to watch than it ever was before. It's Adam Green, Joe Lynch, and a bunch of really cool other people mixed in. And it's a sitcom about like slacker, metalhead, horror filmmaker people. And in season 2, they're trying to shoot the trailer for their film, and basically they end up getting Danielle Harris to playing herself to be in this trailer, and she's using Adam Green's character for drugs. And it was basically a very awkward scene where she's trying to get more stuff from him, so she is trying to like sleep with him to get more drugs and more money. She forces him to put on this Michael Myers bondage mask. So it's like a Michael Myers mask with a ball gag and like staples and stitches and all kinds of weird stuff going on with it. Yeah. He had me build him a replica of this mask, and then did the photo shoot with Danielle in her clown costume, which she's wearing in that scene in Holliston, with him wearing that mask. It's one of those things where you're like, you make something, and every time you look at it, you're like, I can't believe I fucking made this thing. This is terrible. This should not exist. And now there's at least 2 of them. I think Adam still has the one from the show, so now there's a replica. Now, I was joking, we could be like, oh, we got the one and only replica of this Michael Myers mask. Nobody else has it. I don't think anybody else wants it. That was an experience. That was hilarious. And to, you know, see him throw the mask on, walking into the photo op room, and then hear Danielle be like, get over here, ball gag. That was something. That was definitely, yeah. So before this gets any weirder, I don't know how it can get any weirder. It's already too weird. I'm gonna call it on that one. I believe PD was saying that the next one is going to be a little later than normal. It's going to be June. I think he said Father's Day weekend. So I expect if it really is Father's Day weekend, we will see plenty of people carrying around silver platters with severed heads and candles. Cake for everybody. Sounds like a plan to me. You know, I will be looking forward to that one anxiously. That gives me like 6 months to figure out a costume that I could wear in June in Florida that I'm maybe only going to mostly melt in and not completely melt in. I haven't figured it out yet, but you know, there's always a chance. So that'll do it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Later.